It's great to see you again for another Video Creators podcast episode. Also doubles as our live stream at youtube.com/video creators every Monday at 2 p.m. So if you're the podcast audience, we'd love to have you, especially when we have conversations like the one we're going to have today, which is a very much overlooked by big and small creators alike. And this topic makes such a big difference in the performance of your channel and how it grows and how many viewers you're going to get and how engaged they become with your community and so many other ways. It is just so important to know who your perfect, most ideal viewer/subscriber is, so that instead of making content focused on like, hey, I'm gonna really get some cool shots here, or fancy editing, or I just need to have really high energy, or a lot of these things a lot of creators focus on, and then they work with people like us and they're like, hey, how come my channel is not growing? Instead, there's something else you need to be focusing on instead, and that is, how do you optimize your content for the viewer, for the person who's actually watching? And that makes way much more bigger of a difference. We're not following proper grammar rules today than exactly, what kind of camera you're using, what kind of microphone, the gear stuff I know a lot of people want to focus on and everything. So we're going to dive into helping you figure out who that person is here today, so that you can then take the things you're about to learn, implement them on your channel, and make a better, more deeper, more impactful connection with your audience, so you get more views, more subscribers, more sales, more momentum with what you're doing on YouTube and the business that you're growing around it. So I am really excited to talk about this, because I talk about this all the time with people in private consultations, but not as much on here publicly, and I'm not really sure why we haven't, but I'm glad that Liron is here to kind of bring this to my attention. Like, hey, Tim, that sound effect you heard was him slapping me on the face. It's like, Tim, we should talk more about this. And I was like, abso-stinkin-lutely, you're absolutely right. We need to talk about this. So, Liron, good to have you here, man. For people who don't know who you are, I think they're going to be in for a real treat here today. If you guys don't know Liron, I'm going to let him talk about himself in just a second. But he is a YouTube strategist with some good friends of mine over at vidIQ, which we'll likely learn about here in a second. He's done hundreds of channel audits with YouTube creators himself. He has his own channel at youtube.com/Liron Segev, where he reviews a lot of tech phones and gadgets and apps and getting your Wi-Fi faster, a lot of tech reviews and things like that. So, Liron, why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory before we dive in here? Who are you? Where'd you come from? How did you end up where you are today?
On this live stream. Ta-da!
That's it. Birth to right now.
Okay, so many moons ago. As you can clearly hear from my accent, I'm definitely not from here. So originally South Africa. I was there for many years and doing this whole YouTube-y stuff. Yes, that's a technical word. And, I was kind of growing and kind of trying to work out and find my way around it. I had a technology blog, which I still do, and I was writing about these brands and products, and the brands kind of reached out to say, hey, look, you're talking about our products better than we are. Let's do stuff together. And that's kind of when the content creation started. This was back in 2008, so before the word blog and influencer was actually a thing. And I kind of realized that, well, what goes well with text is, of course, video. But I thought, mistakenly so, that, man, it takes so long to write a blog post. A video's got to be easier. You just fire up the camera, you just talk, and then slap it onto YouTube and bang, 1 million views. Oh, this is going to be so simple.
It didn't happen for you.
Huh? No, overnight success took a while. But what I did was I understood kind of the mentality, and understood how to break things down, and I could see things in patterns and in bits and bytes. And I got my butt over to the US with my family a couple of years ago, and we've been doing YouTube ever since. And because I was already consulting to firms beforehand, I worked with vidIQ at VidCon, one of the big YouTuber events, and got a call from Rob. And I loved that series you did on Rob a little bit earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Got a cool call from Rob to say, hey, thanks for helping us at VidCon. I said, no problem. He goes, great. You're starting to work for us from today. So, that kind of stuff happened. But I love it. I think that the idea of understanding people's channels, seeing where they're going right, where they're going wrong, having those unlocked moments, to me, that's just the best thing ever. And sometimes it takes an outside person to have a look at a channel and just be unemotionally attached to it and say, man, this is right. But boy, these couple of things are just not right. And that's what we heard today.
Yeah, this is such an important topic, you guys. It's so underrated. I was talking yesterday, last night. A friend of mine has about 1.5 million YouTube subscribers, and got there. So how she got there is a whole different story. But here she is today, and she's having a hard time moving forward. And this is like one of the most basic things where they have like 1.5 million subs, and she's just like, how do I breathe new life into my channel again, versus if you have 0 subscribers and just trying to figure out how to get started. It's so overlooked. People focus on all the wrong things, and this is absolutely probably the very first thing that has the greatest that you should focus on, that has the greatest impact on your channel. So I'm excited to dive into that. Just real quick, for anyone who's not familiar with vidIQ, what is that? I know Rob owns it, so when he calls you, that made sense. But if they're not familiar with what vidIQ is, what is that?
Yep. So essentially, vidIQ, we help creators really understand their analytics in a way that kind of makes human sense. You know, we get all this data that's overloaded. We can export lots of things into CSV file and deep dive into them on Excel. But realistically, well, creators want to be creators. We just want to create. Just tell me what to do. Tell me what not to do. And vidIQ kind of really makes that simple. So we build a whole bunch of tools which sits inside your web browser. When you go to your YouTube studio, it sucks out all the beautiful golden information from YouTube and really holds your hand through the entire process so that you can understand YouTube, understand the 3Ds of YouTube. You're able to be discovered, you're able to deliver, and then you get that beautiful distribution. We just want to push a button, tell us what to do so we can focus on that. You know, not all of us get the luxury of being geeks like us, of getting really excited about a trend. Most people just want to create.
Yeah, we love vidIQ. We actually use it here as part of our team when we work with creators, and it gives us a lot of good insights into their channels and other people's channels and things as well. So it's one of the few tools that we do recommend. So if you guys aren't, this episode is not sponsored by them. They're just like, I'm just saying that, like, they're not paying me to say it. It's just like, it is honestly one of the best tools that we use when we work with channels. So highly recommend it. I think you can go to vidiq.com/video creators TV. I think that's a link they set up a long time ago, but you just go to vidIQ, you'll find it. And yeah, it's definitely an awesome tool.
Cool. We love having you. It's great. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah. For those of you guys who are in the chat, I want to point out Maximalist Minibus. Her real name is Mary. So thank you, Mary, for being here. She's going to be moderating our conversation. And I know some of you guys have been asking, like I already saw Edic Games, who's like, hey, can I ask a question, Tim and Liron? Absolutely, you can. And we will be doing our best to answer as many of these questions as you guys ask as possible here in just a bit. We want to go through some content and give some context and then let that kind of surface a lot of your questions. And I think we'll probably answer a lot of your questions while we go through as well. So if you do have a question, though, just make sure you tag Maximalist Minibus in the chat here, and she will copy your question, paste it in front of us, and after we get through some content, he will be answering as many of your questions as we can. So that are on topic. So if you got questions related to monetization or copyright stuff or things like that, we're not diving into those questions here today. Today is just strictly about the topic at hand, which is defining your audience and how you use that information to then create better content that will grow your channel. So we're going to stick to those questions here today. If you have other questions, I would love to hear them. Just tweet them at us, or I don't know.
Something.
Does that work? Does that work for you, Liron? They just tweet you? What's your Twitter handle?
It's at Liron_Segev, LIRON_SEGEV.
Got it. Cool. Yeah. So just tweet. I'm just at Tim Schmoyer. So just tweet us if you got other questions. We'll do our best to answer them there. But today we're going to dive in. Thank you, Mary, for being here and helping.
Yeah, I think, Tim, you've teased them enough. I think it's time.
Oh, no. We can stretch this out.
Do you think so?
I think we can stretch this out.
Think about that watch time. That'll be amazing. So in a couple of hours, we'll be diving into this topic.
No, this is a really good topic. Before we dive in, though, I want to introduce you guys to a conversation to a creator called Brad for our creator spotlight here for this week. And Brad has been on YouTube for a long time. He's been working on his channel for a while, trying to get results, working on a lot of things. And he sat down and had a conversation with Lennon, who those of you guys who are regular around here, you know, Lennon is one of the YouTube strategists on my team at Video Creators, and just to talk about what were the things that unlocked the growth for you? Because he was getting some traction, but losing viewers really quickly. And he's like, but then he started getting momentum after he worked through our course called 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel. So if you hear him reference 30 days, he's not saying it took him 30 days to do it. He's referencing like the course, our course, 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel. So let's cut to that conversation. I think you're going to get a lot out of this so that you can replicate the results that Bradley got with his audience.
So Brad, let's just start by telling us who you are and what your channel's about.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. You know, my name's Brad Smith. I have a channel called Own the Chaos. And the reason the channel is named that way is because I firmly believe the stock market is crazy and chaotic, as most people probably do. And so I've kind of made it my mission to help people own it in a sense of being able to make money while investing and achieve that financial freedom that a lot of people are looking for.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, like we just started, my wife and I just started doing some investments last year. And of course with COVID, it was like super scary. Just
it's all over the place. Yeah.
Because all of a sudden we saw this investment go boop, and then it like just popped back up. We're like, okay, take a breath. But you know, everybody says like it's a long game and you're doing the deal. So it's good to have some advice from somebody like yourself to kind of know when to relax and when to like take it a little more serious.
Yeah, man, it's the emotional game. You know, it's just making sure you're getting a hold of those emotions and keeping them in check.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I love that. That's what golf is for me also.
Yeah, same here. And YouTube, really, I mean, you're looking at your YouTube analytics and it's nothing's linear, right? And it's just kind of like the stock market. And so there's a lot of correlations with that.
So you've been working through the 30 days process and implementing some of that stuff on your channel. What kind of results have you seen so far?
Yeah, so I mean, everything in the 30 days course was absolutely incredible. But I think what resonated with me the most and what I've seen the biggest impacts on are really getting to the point faster and then ending the video faster. Like, you know, I always had pretty good retention for the people that watched, you know, when I was paying attention to those analytics when it came to, you know, view duration and audience retention. But I always noticed there was just this steep drop off right at the beginning of the video. Within the first 30 seconds, I would lose about 30% of my audience. And then when I got towards the end of the video, I would only have about 20, maybe 15% remaining at the end of the video. And so what really kind of resonated me through the course was when Tim was sharing about, you know, really kind of getting to the point faster and then ending the video faster. And if there's anything, you know, that you really want to kind of like communicate as far as like, you know, coming to, you know, things that are off of YouTube, such as links or what have you, make sure that they're in the middle of the video rather than trying to like squeeze it all in the end or squeeze it all in the beginning, and really kind of getting to the meat of the content in those crucial areas. And that has significantly impacted my view duration. My average view duration was around 5 minutes, you know, for my typical 10-minute videos. And now that's gone up to 6 minutes. So I've had 60% view duration, which to me, I feel like is incredible because I've been on YouTube for 3 years. I've been trying to make this happen for 3 years. And as a result of all of that, I've seen everything just grow. My videos are getting suggested more. You know, I've never had suggested videos be in the, you know, in the higher part of my traffic, and now it's number 2. My suggested videos is number 2 on my traffic, and it's really incredible to see. It's cool to see how it actually all works.
That's awesome. What were you targeting before? What was your highest traffic sources before?
YouTube search. So I had taken another course as well from another creator, and his focus was like ranking on YouTube. And so that actually was, you know, impactful. You know, I was ranking on YouTube better after I took that, you know, taking some really good keyword type best practices, if you will, but I wasn't quite seeing the growth. You know, people were coming and kind of leaving, so to speak. And so with taking the 30 days course. It had a lot of the, SEO type stuff and learning how to rank, but that was stuff I already knew. What I hadn't learned was just really how to keep people on my channel and have them click on the next video. And once that happened, I mean, I saw explosive growth. Before I took the 30 days course, I was right around 15 to 16,000 subscribers. And now I'm getting ready to eclipse 30K. So, and that was about 8 weeks ago. And so that's really, yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to see.
That's crazy. Well, Brad, that's amazing. If you had like one little bit of advice for somebody who's trying to grow their channel, and maybe they're doing the same where they're targeting search, what would you feel like is one little tidbit that they could take away and implement right now?
Get to the point. I mean, even if it might not seem like 30 seconds is a long time, it's an eternity on YouTube. And I didn't realize just how long it was until, I really had somebody tell it to me. So that was really, really one of the biggest game changers for me.
I love that. Yeah. And we agree, not only get to the point, but let somebody know that you understand who they are and what they're all about. Like when you're getting to that point, meet your viewer where they're at. That's so important. It's not just like get to the information, but let them know like, hey, I understand why you need this information also. And that's a big thing we touch on in the 30 days material, as well as just here in the community. And Brad, it's so cool to have you here. I appreciate you jumping on with me real quick and doing a call from your car while I've got my PJ pants on and we're just doing the deal.
It's that YouTube life, man.
I know nobody will ever be the wiser on the podcast. They'll just think I look great. So what are you going to do?
That's right. Suit and tie,
Thanks
man.
so much, Brad. It's great to have you a part of the community.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Just so you guys are aware, Liron and I are actually wearing pants, unlike Ledden and Brad probably. Now, if you guys are interested in going through that course, 30 Days to Better YouTube channel, you just go to our website, videocreators.com/30days, and sign up, register, and dive right into it right away. It is an awesome process that we have been taking creators through from the very beginning, starting with every day it's going to give you it starts with something you need to know. A training, got to learn this, got to understand this, and then it's going to dive in that same day, going to give you tasks like assignments you're going to do right then and there on your YouTube channel. And then we're going to provide links to further resources if you really want to dive in and really want to learn more about that topic or that subject. But we try to take out all the fluff and be like, step by step, here's exactly what you need to do. You need to know this and then do this. So this is not like, oh, I went through it and learned some good information. This is for the action takers, not for the tire kickers. If you're a tire kicker, you'll go through it. You'll learn some stuff, but it's not going to impact your channel. But if you're looking for practically what do I do, this is exactly the right course for you. So you can go at it, videocreators.com/30days. And I know a lot of you guys are in the chat are talking about it. You're like, yeah, this is awesome. We've been through it. So Maximus Minibus says, I really recommend Tim's 30 days, and he's not paying me to say that. I am not. So just like Brad, we want to see you guys getting the results that he got on your channel by going through that process. So videocreators.com/30days, and you can dive in today.
Like it.
All right. You guys hanging out in the chat? You guys all right? You ready to dive in? Yes. Homework. Yikes. Yes.
It's good homework. It's good homework.
Yeah. Welcome to Dahlia. Hey, so worth it, y'all. Tire kickers? I have never heard that. I think, is that you've heard that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I made that up. Tire kickers are people who just go to the car lot, don't really want to buy a car, but want to look at them and just kick the tires and admire the cars, but won't actually commit to buying the car. Yeah. Cool. Let's dive into our topic here, talking about defining your target audience so that you actually get the results that you want on your channel. Liron, this is so important. In fact, the course 30 Days to a Better YouTube channel, the very first day one, is actually about this. So this is about as fundamental and important and unfortunately overlooked as it comes. So where do you start when you start helping creators think through this and the impact it's going to make on their channel?
Where does one begin? And it's funny, what you said was absolutely true, even right at the beginning, where it's not just small creators or people who are just starting out. I know so many big creators. I work with so many big creators, like as you do, with the millions of subscribers, and they still haven't got this right. So Where do we begin? Okay, so let me ask you guys this. Let's just say you get a call today from mom or dad, and they say to you, "Hey, Sonny, well, whatever your name is, how do you become successful on YouTube?" Well, perhaps you're going to tell them things about making good content or making content people want to watch. But let's just say someone in this very chat phones you up and say, "Hey, how do I become successful on YouTube?" Well, it's a fellow creator. So you're going to give them an answer that's got to do with analytics and retention. And you got to subscribe to video creators and follow Tim Schwoyer online, because that's a different kind of answer. How come? Same question, two different types of answers. Well, the reason for it is because mom and dad are just not a fellow creators. Their requirements are different. Things that they look for is different. Their knowledge is different. But they are coming, when they ask you that question, they're coming from a very different place than someone who is a fellow creator. That's a very, very different audience. So on our channels, what we tend to do is we just treat everyone exactly the same. We make the same content. We give the same answer for absolutely everyone. And you know what? You cannot be all things to all people all of the time. So that is an absolute fundamental. It's the first place that I start. And as Tim said in his course, that is absolutely the first place you start. If you don't know who you're making your videos for, how are you going to get this right? How are you going to get that connection? How are you going to speak their language? If you tell mom and dad about retention and watch time and groupings in analytics, they're going to look at you like, man, maybe you shouldn't be doing on YouTube. But a fellow creator is going to get ridiculously excited, say, "Oh, tell me more, tell me more." And that's the difference between the two type of audiences that you get. So we call it the avatar. Tim, do you call it the avatar as well, or have you got a different name?
We call it your target audience, but it's the same thing. Customer avatar, target audience, most valuable customer. They're all kind of synonymous in some way.
Same kind of stuff. And I'm sure that many of you have been to these YouTube events where people on stage, we get up there, and one of the first questions that we ask is, raise your hand if you're a YouTuber. Raise your hand if you're a brand. Raise your hand if you're an agency. Why do we do that? Well, we do that because we want to tailor our message based on the audience. We want to give you as much value as possible so that you can take away from this event what you came to get from this event. Same thing happens on your channel. A brand wants to know about ROI and KPIs, but a YouTuber wants to know, tell me 5 hacks to grow my YouTube channel quickly. Same speaker, different messages. So I kind of went about this in the explaining it, but the idea with all that it boils down to is that you have to define your audience. You have to understand who your customer is, who is your viewer. You have to understand it to a very, very nth degree. I think that's a term that you guys use. To an nth degree, to really know who you're speaking to, so that when you make your content, you can really tailor that. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yeah, I wonder, have you found when you work with creators, and might be likely what they're thinking right now, is like, yeah, I don't get it though. I know who my audience is. I look at my analytics and I have like 50% male, 50% female from the US, Australia, Canada, and UK. And like, is that what we're talking about, or are you talking about something else?
We are talking about that, but it's got to go further. Where a lot of people stop is they say, okay, so I got a largely male audience. They largely speak English. They like the kind of content I do. I know my customer. Well, nope, you don't. Let me give you an example of an avatar. So this is the avatar on my technology channel, right? My guy's name's Alex. He's got a name. I've even have a picture of what Alex looks like. Alex is between 25 and 40 years old. Alex speaks English. He has a wife and 2 kids. Alex is busy. He has a full-time job. Alex makes some money, but he doesn't have time. He doesn't want to waste money on just buying additional technology equipment just because something is hot and trendy. Alex wants tips to fix what he's already got, but he doesn't have time because he's busy. He's a family guy. He's got things to do. So he wants quick information, show me how to do it. But Alex also wants to learn. So he doesn't want to follow like sheep. He wants to understand what he's doing. That's my Alex. That's a very, very big difference between, hey, male 25 to 45. And the
Who
reason
happens to be in one of 4 continents.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason I get down to that level, because what does that tell me now? Well, it tells me make short videos, 5 to 8 minutes. Alex doesn't care what I had for breakfast, doesn't want to vlog, doesn't want drone shots, doesn't have time for that. He just wants the information. Alex wants to get in and get out. He wants to understand what's going on. So tell him, show him, explain, and we're done. Alex hates Mac. He hates Apple. Alex likes Android and Windows.
Oh, no. Those are fighting words right there.
All right, let's not. But that's my Alex. So guess what?
That's good, though. Yeah.
If I make a video about the latest iPhone, guess what that's going to do on my channel? Nothing. Terrible. Because my Alex doesn't care. But how do I know this? And I think that's kind of going to be a question that we're going to start getting. It's, well, how do you know so much details? And where I always go back to is my own stuff. Yes, as Tim, as you mentioned, you got to look at your analytics, you got to look at your demographics and your countries. Absolutely do that. But a lot of people simply stop there. Cool places to get information about your Alex. Okay, don't call him Alex, it's going to get confusing. Who's going to get information is by going through your comments, going through your community post, ask leading questions to try glean information. So as an example, I put out a post saying, hey, when do you change your Wi-Fi router? 1, when it breaks. 2, I've never changed it. 3, I like the new cool shiny object. Guess what that gives me? It gives me information. And when I get that information, all of that builds up my Alex profile, and now I have a beautiful picture of Alex on my wall. My wife thinks it looks weird, but it's there. But it's on my wall, and I know when I'm about to write my script or my bullet points for my next video, I look up at Alex and say, hey, Alex, are you going to watch this or not? No, you got way too technical. Good, scale it back. That is how you win on YouTube. When you understand exactly who your viewer is, man, you can just cater exactly what they need. And that's how you win.
So 2 questions. 1,
do
you have a picture of your wife up on the wall as well, or is it just Alex?
Obviously, one is
I'm going to take that as a no. No wife on the wall, only Alex. All right. But, marriage advice, might want to fix that one. The second question, though, is when I work with creators through this, we try to get specific. In their mind, they think specific means like I know, and you went definitely in the right direction in terms of like getting it, like knowing this person intimately. But I found it most helpful to think about it in terms of like, what does this person actually want?
Yes.
And so it's like, do they? And you mentioned that like, this person just wants like straight to the point, give you the hard, cold, dirty details. I don't want to hear your life story, Liran. Just like tell me what I need to know. All right. Yeah, so that's what they want. But there's probably something else that they want even deeper. There's a reason why they want that. It's because they're in a hurry and they want to do it quickly and they want to do it the most efficient way possible without spending a whole lot of money, and they're not going to spend 4 weeks researching this thing. So it's so you really need to know what they want. And so that's usually like one of the places we start when we try to figure out like who is your target audience, who are you going after, is we start with like who is the person, what do they want, and then why can't they have what they want? Mm-hmm. What's at stake if they don't get it? And then what transformation do they ultimately want to experience if they get this thing? And then that's the thing you're actually pitching and selling. Your titles and thumbnails start revolving around the transformation story, and because you intimately, more accurately know what this person wants. Do you have
everything
any advice
changes. Everything changes. So once you know that that's your viewer, then it makes it so much clearer. When you're going to go out and design and build your next kind of masterpiece that you're going to upload onto YouTube, once you have your avatar, your Alex in mind, you know that those are the points. Those are the place where they're coming from. This is the results that they want to achieve. It just makes things so much clearer, so much easier, rather than throwing lots of stuff at the wall and hopefully something sticks. So absolutely, just those are fundamental. This is no wonder that you start that as your day 0 of your course, because if you don't know that, how are you going to find your success if you just doing lots of stuff, bunches and lots, and kind of hoping that things will work.
Right. Yeah, I think the biggest part of knowing your audience comes down to really knowing what they want and the obstacles that they're facing, that they're trying to overcome to get it. Because the obstacles now are what your content and your business is going to help them solve, right? Like, we can boil down, what is a business? Its most fundamental piece. A business is a process that you have for helping other people solve their problems. So, and they're a problem that they're willing to pay for to solve. So whether that be like restaurant, you're solving hunger. If it's like shoes, you're solving a problem of feet hurting. You know, like this, you're always solving a problem. And being able to identify that problem and grow a business around solving it, regardless if you're an entertainment channel like gaming or blogging, or in the educational space like Brad in stocks or Liron in technology. Like, it doesn't really matter. You still have to know what problem you're solving, because that's the only reason why people are going to consume your content in the first place, is because I have this problem, I don't know how to solve it, and if I don't solve it, this is what's going to happen. And so they're looking for the guy to enter their story, which would now be your content, to come along and be like, here, let me show you how to do it. But the reason it's going to resonate with them is because you've made that clear, that value's clear, very clear right up front from the title, the thumbnail, the opening seconds, and so on. And that's what a lot of people miss, to your point earlier, Liron, is like, let me add my drone footage because it's a really cool shot, and Casey Neistat does it. Yes. So it's like, well, no, he uses his drone footage for transitions, never just because. No one cares about your drone footage. They care about the story you're telling, and he uses that drone footage as a tool to advance the story. But yeah,
absolutely. Should we go one step deeper?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we dive in? Yeah. Okay, so now the reason that you really want to understand who your avatar is, because now you have your Alex, right? Now you have your personality, your person that you're making your videos for, and now that's in top of your mind. But now what Alex does is that it gives you all the beautiful clues as to what content you should be making next. So I know my Alex. I know that where they hang out. I know that they're on social media. I know that it's LinkedIn. I know that Alex is not a TikToker. Okay, that's not his vibe. I know that Alex is more Instagram, more LinkedIn, some Facebook, and definitely on Twitter. So I go find my Alexes there, and guess what I'm looking for? Things that excite Alex. Things that Alex is asking questions. Things that
this
Alex
is starting to sound creepy. I look for my Alex and I get him what he wants. It's not candy, right?
We have a van,
over to your car. Sorry, go ahead. My mind was going all sorts of weird places as you were talking.
Look, I'm getting worried about you, Tim.
Yeah, you probably should be. Yes.
Right. But you know, again, your Alex, your avatar, just so that make Tim happy. Your avatar is hanging out somewhere. And because you're cyber sleuthing, not stalking, it's sleuthing, there's a difference. And because you're checking out what they're up to, guess what it does? Just beautiful video titles, beautiful video content. And it's the stuff that your avatar wants to consume. So when you go and take that knowledge and bring it back home, back to your YouTube channel, and really start focusing on delivering that value to your avatar, well, there's lots of Alexes. The avatar is just the thing, but there's lots of them. And that's when you get that beautiful uplift. You're talking to the pain points that they're having and answering those questions. Beautiful. That is what we want. We want that kind of information. When they're tweeting or when they're on another YouTuber leaving comments, people are looking at other YouTubers and go, oh, that's my competition. You can look at it that way. Or you can look at their comment section and say, hey, man, great video, but you really didn't take into account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, light bulb moment. I'll make a video, take into account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's when you get that lovely lift between your channels. It's not a competition. People love hanging out with other people, and we love watching videos on the same content more than one video. None of us watch one video and we go out and buy something. We watch 2, 3, 4, or 5 videos so that you want to come up in that suggested. If you're making similar content and you're adding more value, well, you earn yourself another sub, another bunch of views.
Alex Express in the chat says, please stop saying Alex.
Alex, you're here.
So when you're trying to figure out Alex and that persona and that profile or avatar for him, how do you know when you got it, as opposed to like, nope, it's still too general, versus I got so specific, there's literally only 10 people in the entire world who are this person?
Yeah, I think you had a great saying. It's like a cliff that you can fall off both sides, right?
Sure, yeah. Let's not do either one of those things.
So you can be too general, and then you can be way too specific, of course. But the whole thing about YouTube is about experimentation. And I think so many people are so afraid to do something out of their little box, because in case it destroys my channel, YouTube shuts me down, or insert whatever other excuse you have here. The idea with this is you've got to play. And on your channel, I've realized that when I do videos which are 4 minutes, I get beautiful 50 plus retention. Great. Pushed it out to 5-6 minutes. Still 50% retention. 7, 8, 9 minutes, retention starts going down. 10 minutes, forget about it. So guess what I'm going to, I know my sweet spot is around the 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes kind of mark, and I play around there. I'm not going to make a 15, 20-minute video. My guy doesn't want that. I also look at my comments. You'll see when you start making very generic kind of videos, you get generic style comments like thanks, good, blah. But when you start getting specific, you can start getting very specific kind of questions. What happens in this case? You didn't tell us about that case. You should have also done blah, blah, etc., etc. And now I know I'm hitting those nerve, but in the right way. I'm talking to my audience, and they're starting to communicate back. And that is when you start building up that community. And that's when you start getting that uplift for your next video.
Would you say that there is a time to do the longer content if it's a question or an issue that just requires a longer explanation than you can cram into 7 minutes or something?
Completely. It's, the famous thing that we're always asked is, how long should a video be? And the answer is long enough.
Yeah,
sometimes,
which is so helpful, right? People love it when you say that.
Generic, just reboot.
It's like, is that code for you don't know? Like, no, it's the actual answer.
Yeah. But so here is the thing: is that if I can tell you 3 simple tips that are going to make the world of a difference on your Wi-Fi, because we're all stuck at home now. Do you want that in a 5-minute video, or do you want those exact same tips stretched over a 15-minute video? Well, I go back to my avatar. What does my Alex want? So my Alex want those quick tips. I revert back to Alex. Mr. Alex, please watch my stuff. Sorry,
okay,
Alex.
So he's not going for the in-depth tutorials and click here, click there's and type of stuff.
But I know that because I experimented.
Yeah.
I know that because I gave that a go. And I gave that a go multiple times. So it wasn't just me, because nobody likes to blame themselves for their bad content. It's always YouTube algorithm. Always YouTube.
Always YouTube's fault.
It's never the correct.
But on that note, though, how do you know, like, if I just don't have the skills yet to be able to deliver a 15-minute video that holds attention, versus doesn't matter what I do, they don't want it?
Look at your analytics, you look at your retention, and you look at the point where people start veering off, and you start comparing multiple videos around the same time frames, and you start seeing a picture for yourself. Hey, your hook was not strong enough. People left at the beginning. Or between point A and point B, man, did you just waffle and waffle on and on and on? Okay, I can work on that. That's a good skill. I can get better. And you start seeing the information. The last thing about kind of the vidIQ tools and the YouTube analytics is that it's unemotional. It doesn't care how hard you worked at that video. It doesn't care, how long you spent and the fact that you researched for days. It's just unemotional. It is what it is. You put out content, and this is the results that it's got. So be unemotional as well. Go through that. Be honest. Get yourself a good friend who's going to tell you not what you want to hear, but what it is. And say, hey, man, between these sections, I got bored. Great. Start getting better at storytelling.
Welcome to Chickenlandia, and the chat says, curses, I would have more watch time if it wasn't for the algorithm. Waves fists at the sky. So the way I think about that question in terms of how you know when you're too specific or too general is, and I prefer to do it in a conversation, because then we can get a little bit more clear. But for when we're just talking about it in general terms like this, I think it's better to be more specific than too general. Too general tends to backfire pretty consistently, but too specific, actually you end up getting two benefits. One is the more specific you are, the more competition you eliminate. So if you are like talking about copyright channel, I don't know, let's just go with that. Copyright channel, that's pretty general. But if you're like copyright channel for music, now you're getting more specific. Copyright channel for music that's specifically targeting lawyers in the entertainment industry in LA, you've eliminated a lot of competition. If there's a lot of competition on copyright channels, I don't know, but probably not. but you can see the point. Like the more specific you get, the more competition. And then the second thing that happens is you don't end up eliminating as many people as you think you do. There's still a broader audience. Like Leron, even though Alex is your person, I'm sure there's like that frustrated mom whose husband's at work and she needs to get the Wi-Fi going and she's watching your video too. So it's not like we're saying other people can't and won't watch. We're just saying in order to get momentum, you need to make someone feel like, oh, this is exactly for me. Like, where have you been my whole life? This is exactly what I've been looking for. And it resonates with them, gets the emotional engagement that you need that leads to longer watch time and better performance overall.
100%. There's not even a question. You always have your core audience, and you're always going to have the people on the fringes who are going to enjoy your content, or people who are just never going to enjoy your content regardless of what you do. You just cannot make them happy. If it's too long, it's too long. If it's too short, it's too short. They've got something to say about everything. Ignore those, but that bunch. But your core avatar, I'm not going to say Alex, your core avatar.
Alex is in the chat. He's catching on now.
Okay, good.
He just became a channel member actually too. Thanks, Alex. Good to have you. Man. Yeah.
Glad I could help.
See, it worked. This is what happens. You define Alex. When Alex finds your channel, my channel in this case.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go find someone else, and we're gonna make. Okay, my avatar is sorcerer. All
right, let's go with speed typing. Maybe get speed typing and John Spike Explorers.
Perfect. Great.
Just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
So the idea
unless you want to. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is why we hang out. So the idea is that once you have your core audience, yes, of course, you're going to have the frustrated mom who kind of wants to understand it, or the frustrated non-Alex who wants to understand how this works. And that's okay, because you're being super niche and super specific, like you said, you've just become an authority, because you didn't talk about in generic stuff. And I mean, I'm in tech, so I could kind of go either way. But people who are making, I don't know, chicken recipes, right? You could be the chicken recipe.
Dahlia's in the chat. Oh. And chickens are pets to her. So just FYI, you might get some fighting words here in the chat.
So what I meant is, what we should do is look after our chickens in a way that you're the chicken researcher, you're the expert. I want to have Coop. I know which is the channel to go to because she is now the expert, right? But if she started doing weird stuff and start going way off niche, and start talking about, I don't know, fashion and travel, and she does a gadget review, now it starts to get weird for her core audience. Now her Alex, her avatar, is okay to give you a little bit of lee room whilst you're experimenting, but if you go way off topic, well, you're gonna just lose your core audience, which is why we say be niche within your niche. Be pigeonholed. That's not a bad thing, especially at the beginning. Be the specialist and then pivot to what you need to do.
That's right. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to go into? We got to hit some questions here. We got a lot of them. I don't think we're going to get to all of them, but anything else you want to hit?
Okay. Final thing, just quickly.
No, yeah, absolutely.
That once you know your Alex, once you know what the kind of tolerance that they have for your videos, do you know what that does to your video length? It shortens it, because you know that Alex doesn't have patience for lots of fluff. So cut it out. And the more you cut out the stuff that doesn't really need to be there, don't take out the details, don't take out your personality. But we all look at our old video and going, what was I thinking talking about this for a full 45 seconds? That's a long time. So remember, cut out the fluff, look at your Alex, look at your avatar, and see what they want to see, and then just provide that for them. Okay, I'm done. No more Alex.
No, that's good. No more Alex. We got a couple questions here that revolve around that question we kind of talked about earlier. How do I know if I'm too specific or not specific enough? So let's just take one of them here and maybe work through it a little bit, Lebron. See what we come up with here. Cantos de... My Spanish is no bueno. Cantos de Caverna. Do you speak Spanish?
I barely speak English.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Anyone who's like around here knows that I just don't do names well, although I do try my best. It's not out of disrespect. But they say, I am creating a gaming channel and I niched my audience in challenging games and cyberpunk theme, but I'm not getting views or subs. How do I specify more my audience? How do you get more specific? Is that specific enough, or is it like are you saying, or are we saying that it really comes down to just keep getting more and more specific until you eliminate everybody, or is it does it revolve around something else, or what would you say to that person?
Okay, so we've got to be careful that people don't walk away from here thinking we're trying to eliminate as much views as possible and only have one viewer. Okay, right. So let's just be absolutely clear. We're not trying to work out who the one viewer is, but we are trying to say that there is a personality, there is a persona, and that's just a placeholder for millions of the exact same character. So I just don't want to someone walks away and they tweet this evening and they go, wow, Tim just told us we only need one viewer on our channel. Okay, no, we're not saying that. So to go back to this question is about getting specific and getting niche. The answer is in your data, is in your analytics. Go back and look at those top performing videos over a period of time. Look at a 90-day cycle. And by the way, everybody should be doing this. We look too narrow. We only look at what happened now. What was my last video? We should all be looking at 30 days and 90 days, because things that look disastrous right now are actually not. And you might find that your old content, again, this is why the avatar is important. There could be old content that's still doing well today. And once you know that, and now you have your avatar in mind, you could say to yourself, well, now I need to redo that video. I need to do a version 2, an updated version. And if it's still doing well on your channel, and now you're really defining who your audience is, hopefully you'll get a good uplift on both. So with this gaming channel, look at your content, look at your analytics, ask yourself the hard questions. Which videos are working, which videos are not, and then together you can make informed decisions about what should your next content be. I think I answered the question, sort of.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like, look at the topics that perform well over time, and that'll give you an idea of what Alex wants and the problems he's trying to solve. So this creator I was talking with yesterday, that's exactly one of the things that they did. Look at their top performing videos recently, and they said, oh, they all kind of tend to revolve around dating relationships and advice for dating. And that gave them some insight into what their target audience wants and the problem that her audience is trying to solve. There's another way to do this, especially when it comes to entertainment channels, where you're like, I'm not quite sure, like in this guy's case, gaming, what the actual target audience is and what value. It could be a 13-year-old, but it could be a 45-year-old too, right? So, yeah. And in that case, I usually niche. I don't know the words niche down, because that niche people think about like topics, but instead it's not a topic. It's more of a like a creed, where you say, like, you make your brand revolve around a belief or a creed of some kind. And when it revolves around a belief or a creed, now you're saying that you're defining your audience based on people who share this belief with you, which is really great for entertainment channels, because the strongest communities, online and offline, they don't revolve around common interests like gaming or vlogging or kids or whatever. They revolve always around shared beliefs. So the stronger the shared belief, the more intimate and stronger your community will be. So I would make the gaming channel revolve around like a belief that you have about why gaming matters to you or to people, or the difference this makes. And there's a lot of different directions you could go with that. But if you're not going to niche down the audience because of 13 and it's like a general audience type of content, then make it revolve around a belief instead, and that could work really well. We got Jasmine Apple SF, who asks, can you reverse engineer the customer profile? For example, gear my content toward, or for example, gear my content towards a specific viewer without having a viewer yet. Like, especially if you don't really have too much momentum on your channel, when do you know, like, follow the analytics versus follow what I really want? Or even if you do have like millions of viewers, what's the tension, the balance between those two things?
You're always going to have the fight between what you want to do and what YouTube wants, and you got to get to a point where you're being realistic with yourself. What are you absolutely passionate about? What can't you wait to make your next video about? What's really got you fired up and everybody needs to hear this? What is your passion? What's the thing that you want to share with the world? And once you start staying core to that, there's got to be millions and millions of people, literally millions and millions of people who share exactly those core fundamentals. And those are going to be your audiences. The mistake that people do is they start changing and chasing the new shiny object. Oh, everyone's talking about slime. I'm going to do all slime. Oh, everyone's talking about TikTok. I'm going to make TikTok compilation. And yes, you might get little bumps here and there, and you might look at other channels doing it and think, I should do that. It's just not sustainable unless you have the stamina, the big team for it, unless you build that kind of personality, and power to you. Like Philip DeFranco, he's able to stay on top of topics every single day. Most of us are just not in that same category. So I would always say passion first, the message that you want to share, what you're good at, things that you can instantly spark up a conversation in any situation because you just love it so much. Those are going to be your fundamentals. And then as you get momentum, get more data on your channel, it will start being within your passions. There's still going to be things that outperform other things because we're passionate about lots of things. And now you start to kind of really gear towards the winning formula, what works, what doesn't work, and then you rinse and repeat that.
Yeah.
Tim,
So
what do you say?
No, yeah. So if you have no viewers on your channel yet, you define who that audience is and you end up attracting that person.
Yes.
As your channel grows, you'll probably have some videos that start performing really well, but maybe unintentionally with the wrong audience. And you're like, oh, should I pivot? Because my biggest video is about this thing and I don't really talk about that thing anymore. Don't worry about it. Like, you got to stay true to what you want to talk about, it, the value you want to provide, and the person you want to provide it to. So there is this balance of like, look at the data, but the data is like skewing from what you're really passionate about. I don't think you need to compromise what you're passionate about. It just means like you're probably not hitting your target audience as clear as you think you are, or maybe would like to with your content. And so it's probably time to get into a session and talk about that. Or just get into like just start thinking like, how do I get to know my most ideal viewer better, so the content I make is actually more aligned with helping them get what they want.
And just by the way, on that, lots of people don't do a simple thing by simply asking. Get together with people who do share the same belief, who do follow your passions, your core network, and simply ask them, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And you're trying to glean information, not so that you can make content on what they want, but now just to find out whether you're aligning or not. They could be absolutely passionate about a certain game or a certain chicken, for example, and you want to make sure that you're not going to have a cooking recipe with people who are pet lovers of those, and the two worlds are now going to conflict. But people just forget to do the simple thing that we do every single day, is talk to other humans and actually ask. Don't forget, it's a critical step. Ask and you will receive the answers. Maybe not the answers you want, but you're going to get the answers, and that's going to help you really define your channel and your avatar.
I think, yeah, it's really good. Along those same lines as some of you guys are asking, how do I ask? Like, how do I figure this out? And so we got Cardiff asking, how do you research your Alex to find out if you're looking at the core area? So you use competition from research. You've got speed typing, asking something similar as well. One of the best ways to just ask is I found put together a quick little survey and just make a little video. Guys, help me serve you the best that I can. I'm really putting a lot into this. I know times are different now, so I want to make sure that the content I'm doing is exactly what you need. And so, like, just put together a quick 4, 5, 6 question survey that people can fill out for you. And there's a little bit more that goes into that. I found to get actually valuable data, because sometimes people are like, do you like this video or that video, that topic? And then you get all these conflicting answers and you're like, I am more lost now than I ever was before. So I don't have it available yet, but last week I wrote a free resource that I'll be providing for free, I don't know, next couple weeks or so. My editor is going through it right now, and it'll be it's a written document. It's like a little mini guide thing, so it'll be like 40 some pages, I think, when it's all said and done. But it's going through this exact process of how do you find your target audience, figure out what it is, all the survey questions I recommend using, as well as the psychology behind each one. Like when they answer this is what it reveals, and this is what you're going for and trying to figure out, and how to assimilate all that data, turn it into something useful, whether that be to better optimize your content to gain momentum, or that be to create a product that's really going to resonate and sell really well with your audience, or whatever. That's actually the context, is creating a product that sells well. But any of those contexts will help. So I don't have that yet, but just and speed typing, just FYI that's coming. So I'm sure I'll have a video coming out about it when it's ready.
Yeah, and I think the important thing from that is have a purpose to your question. If you're just going to say, hey, do you like me, yes or no? Well, you're not really going to get good answers out of that. But like I did on my channel, I asked a very specific question saying, hey, when was the last time you replaced your router? Again, sorry, going a bit geeky here. And I gave them options, A, B, and C. And one was never, one was when it breaks, 3 was when the new shiny toy comes out. The information I was looking to glean out of that was that people's mindset when it comes to new hardware. I know that most people said only when it breaks. What does that tell me? Don't spend so much time and energy and money buying all the new gadgets, because people are just not interested in that. My avatar, my channel audience, isn't interested in that kind of technology, in which case I've just saved myself thousands of dollars, lots of man hours, lots of editing, and lots of frustration, because that's not the content that they want. So surveys.
But if that is the content you want to make, you would still go do that anyway and attract a new audience. Is that right?
Yes, but I would do the 3-in-1 kind of model. So I would do 3 videos from my audience, and then I would do 1 for me, one that I want to make. And if I see that that one is doing well, well, maybe I will do 2 videos for my existing audience, and then 2 videos for me, and starting to kind of take the channel in a slightly different direction. So keeping my core audience, but then attracting a whole new one.
That goes into the final question I'm going to hit here from Dear Julie. Julie says, my channel morphed from paper crafting to making journals out of all kinds of stuff. I added a DIY channel and wanted to put gardening on that one. Should gardening be a separate channel too? And I think what you're saying is, like, if the stuff that's not delivering the value to the target audience, the value proposition to the target audience, that should probably go in a separate channel. But it's okay to experiment a time or two with it on your current channel before you go all in and decide, you know what, I'm taking this current channel and I'm taking a hard left turn. I'm going all the way into gardening. Or I'm going to keep the paper crafting, but I also want to do gardening. But those are 2 different audiences with 2 different values I'm providing. So I'm going to make create a separate channel then for the gardening one. So,
right? And remember that you can also kind of make things work. So you could maybe do, if you're doing paper and you want to go towards gardening, maybe you can do a transition kind of videos where you're doing flowers outside made of paper, and you start to talk about that as well and seeing what your audience reaction is. And maybe you can transition a little bit to get the audience and judge their reaction. Where people make the biggest mistake is they do lots of stuff all the time, and now the audience is confused. You know, when we sit down to watch a movie in the evening, you push play on that movie. If every 10 minutes we get interrupted by the news and then the weather and then some sports and then back to my show, it's just too frustrating. I'm out. I'm done. But if I know that this is the content I'm going to get on this channel, and then you're starting to introduce some new concepts, I'm okay for you to experiment as long as it's kind of within the same niche, kind of the same topic, kind of the same audience, still your style. I kind of like you now, so I'm happy to go along with it and then transition with you as you go to your new content.
Cool. Love it. Well, if you guys want to find out more about Liran and what he's doing, you can check out his channel at youtube.com/Liran. But vidIQ also has tons of resources for you guys as creators. youtube.com/vidIQ, where they're doing YouTube tutorials and YouTube trainings as well. My impression is Liran, is their target audience for vidIQ is more on that beginner, getting started creator. Is that right?
Yeah, especially now. And now that the audience is also changing. So that's the one thing we didn't speak about is the avatar is okay to change, because you might start off with one, but over time your avatar has changed. We've noticed there's, of course, so many new content creators who are coming onto the platform in light of the fact that we are in the semi-weird space that everyone happens to be in. And now more and more people are starting to learn about YouTube, trying to take control of that. So yes, the audience has shifted to a lot of the beginner stuff, and people are finding how to start channels, what they should be doing, the mistakes to avoid, and all of that good stuff. And they could go listen to our podcast that you and I did on our channel as well.
Oh yeah. Where do they find that?
So vidIQ.com/tube talk is the podcast, or the video version is, of course, on the vidIQ YouTube channel.
Cool. Yeah.
We had good chats.
Yeah. And I didn't promote it because I'm on there. it's good stuff if you guys are getting started. And it's interesting that you say this. Maybe I should have said this earlier before everyone got the verbal cue that we're winding down, is that similarly how you guys are like getting more specific, like we're going after the new YouTube creator. I actually have a video coming out this Thursday. It's going to be a little bit of a heart-to-heart conversation with my audience of like how we are actually going the other direction, which is why this is a good compliment, and starting to experiment more with focusing on that at least minimum 10,000 subscriber range creator, and helping them overcome the obstacles that they need to turning their channel into a business, making money on it, making it sustainable. But there's so many people who are doing such, like you guys, doing such amazing work at like, what camera should I get, and how, like, just press record, and going from zero to, all those. And our team has been we've been noticing that we get the most energy and we feel like we do the most work by seeing that person who's already got some momentum and feels like they're stuck and hitting some roadblocks. How do we help them overcome them and go to the next level, next level tactics and strategies for really growing their channel and a business around it. So
hold on, Tim, are you saying that you've defined your avatar and now you're going to create content to someone who wants to watch your channel, and you're going to deliver very specific value to them? Is that what you're saying?
But yes, but I expect views to go down. So we're actually, because we're going on a much more, a much smaller audience that typically doesn't get their YouTube education on YouTube as much anymore. And so we're going to have to get creative. I think we'll be fine as a business, I hope, but we have to be like, this is what we enjoy doing. Like, we have to stay true to like what gets us excited.
Yes.
Not that the other stuff doesn't, because it certainly does. We get excited about that, but we're finding that our sweet spot is how do we get someone who's they've already figured out a thing or two, but they need the next level stuff to really keep going. And that's where we are finding. So if you guys are thinking about pivoting or changing your target audience, getting more specific, watch for that video is coming out on Thursday. I didn't mean for this to be a promo, but I'm going to walk you through the process that we're following to experiment and test the pivot before we just go all in, so we don't end up like shooting ourselves in the foot and killing our business and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably another topic for another day, but yeah, looking forward to having that conversation with you guys as we kind of figure that out here at Video Creators. So thank you guys all for being a part of it, and thank you, Liran, for hanging out, and we will see you guys next week for another Video Creators podcast episode. See you guys then. Bye.